Alright, so I'm going to show you how to assemble a Dominion Adventures token organizer. It just so happens that I've just had two orders for one of these, one assembled and one unassembled. So if you order one as a do-it-yourself kit, it will show up looking more or less like this. Both of these orders I've just gotten have been ordered pre-shellacked. And so you'll see the kind of honey color that you get from that. This represents what you'll see when you order a shellacked version. Meanwhile, I have here a bin of various clamps and rubber bands and office binder clips that I use whenever I'm assembling something like this. I'm also going to be using this Elmer's Craft Bond tacky glue, which is what I use whenever I am demonstrating how to assemble any of my products. That can be bought at just about any hobby store, and it's got a relatively fine point dispenser on it. So that's why I use this in my demonstration videos. Normally, if you buy one of these pre-assembled, like the one here that I'm going to be putting together for somebody, I usually use Titebond translucent wood glue. Let's get these pieces lined up correctly. So this is the bottom. They can really go either way. It really doesn't matter one way or the other. Let's see, we need to find all the other pieces here. This piece has to have this little finger sticking out this direction. So you see where this is here. Come down here to this corner, that's where this thing needs to be sticking out. And then have this other similar piece that has another one of those little fingers, but it's got these diagonal pieces here. That will go there. Then we'll find this piece and this piece. They look very similar. You see this one has a big cutout, and this one has just a little notch. The one with the notch needs to line up with this notch, with this little hole right here. The one with the scoop needs to line up with this open part right here. Alright, so then we need to get some glue all along in here. Alright. Now before we bring these up, we don't want to do that yet because it's important to get these pieces put in here so they can be captured. So, you see this one here that has these notches along there. That needs to line up with this. Then we've got this piece here. This looks very similar to this piece we saw earlier, but it doesn't have that finger sticking out. This is going to go right here, making sure that this little U lines up with this area over here. So before we put that in, we've got this. I'm going to put it, insert that tenon into that mortise right there, like this. There we are, all the way in. And then put this piece down in here like this. It should fit nice and snug. Make sure all those fingers get put into all of their respective places. It's one of the things about a shellacked version. The shellac can add just a little bit of extra thickness to the wood, which can make this a little bit more difficult to get in here. We don't need any glue on those pieces necessarily because they're all going to be captured pretty tightly. We will then start bringing these pieces up. Once again, these end pieces can be a little bit more difficult to get to fit in there because you've got a double thickness of wood, each of which might have, in this case, with the shellacked one, a little bit of extra thickness because of the shellac. So those can use a little bit of extra finesse sometimes. All right, it's looking pretty decent. Now we don't have a particularly tight bond right there at the edges. We'll do that later with some rubber bands. Make sure that's in there. So now we've got our other outside pieces. These two are the two short ends. So this is essentially the front of the box. This is essentially the back of the box. So the back of the box needs to be on the end that is opposite from where these little fingers are. You'll also notice this is missing a tooth, as it were. So you need to have this turned around the right way to where that is lined up with the spot that will take it. Same with this one here. This will only go in one way, it won't go in this way. So I'll get those lined up there. These are the two sides. Now this one has gotten the optional etching that you can get here. And you'll notice that one corner here is slightly rounded. The other corner is not. You want the rounded corner to be in this direction, towards the front. And in this case, since this is etched, yours might not be etched, we want to make sure that etching is down for the moment while we lay the glue on. And if you get the right one there, that means that you'll necessarily be left with the correct one over here. All right. So now that we know how this is going to lay out, you can't just put glue all over here because you'll notice that not everything is lined up there. Also, we still need to put in all of our little divider pieces. I'll leave these here for the moment. And I will come in here and stick just a little bit of glue in each of these little slots. So you see where I got the glue there? All right. So that makes sure that you have a little bit of wood on wood contact where some of that glue is. And that can help keep these in here better. It's possible you might end up with a tad of glue squeeze out here. If you want to clean that out, you can. There's enough wiggle room in here for the tokens that it won't really matter whether you bother to do that or not. There we go. Then we've got these dividers here for the large rectangular tokens. So similar to what I did earlier, I'm going to put just a dab of glue down in the bottom of each of these. And slide each of these down in these diagonal slots. There we are. So, going back to where we were a moment ago, we're making sure these fingers are pointing towards this shaped piece here. This is the opposite end. So this goes back here, making sure that you get these fingers lined up correctly. Again, the rounded edge faces this direction. And same here, this rounded edge faces this direction. All right. So now, we can't just put glue all over here because we've got these cutouts in certain places. So with these lined up where I want them to be in a minute, we'll go ahead and add a bit of glue around here. I'm making sure to get at least a little bit of glue on the edges of the fingers here where it's been laser cut. The reason I'm being careful to do that is because wood glue sticks much better to wood than it does to shellac. So having a little bit of wood on wood contact between this piece and this piece is preferable. All right, so similarly, I'm going to add some glue. Okay. So now, maybe a little bit more right along here. This will come on here like this. This side is a little easier. There aren't really any cutouts on this side. Now, if you want to, you can go ahead and get just a little tad of glue along this finger. It might not be worth the risk, though, because it's really easy to get some squeeze out in there that can end up interfering with the fit of the lid. I designed this so that it would be short enough that it wouldn't really be fragile if you didn't bother to put glue there to adhere it to this piece. All right, there we are. And finally, we'll get a little bit on here. Again, at least a little bit on the sides of the fingers here is preferable. And then this goes right here. We've really accomplished the main part of the assembly at this point. This is your lid. What I often do at this point is just lay this down in here. I don't push it back in yet, because if there is any glue squeeze out that's gotten in here in these fingers, I don't want that to end up gluing the lid shut, which is a possibility. So I just leave it in here loosely to give some resistance as I go ahead and add some rubber bands on this thing. Going ahead and doubling over some rubber bands a few times to get a nice tight to get this all nice and tight on there. Now, if you did go ahead and put some glue on these fingers, you could take a small binder clip, put that on there to make sure it binds. All right. Maybe another one here around the middle. I'm going to put another one around this way. And that's pretty much it. You just leave this to dry for about 30 minutes, and then you can come back and push this lid back into place, and you're good to go. You'll notice that on this one here, since it's been pre-shellacked and then etched, there's a little bit of a haziness around here. That's some vaporized shellac and wood that kind of redeposited there. Taking just a little bit of rubbing alcohol on just an old rag or a paper towel even, and just a little bit of rubbing alcohol, just hitting it real quick on there, will blend that right back in and give you a little bit more of a shine there. And I would do that after it's done. And that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching this, and best of luck doing it yourself.